Since the 1990s, you've been able to buy the products from our company. At Wacky Cakes, our people live and work in every environment across America, and we know how you feel. We've also been wearing the same pair of jeans since, I don't know, did this start in April or March? In this moment of uncertainty, we still need you to buy Wacky Cakes. If we let you know that we're thinking of you, will you think of us? We too have been trapped at home with small children because when are the schools going to open? Have you heard something? I haven't heard anything certain. Communities are suffering and we know you need support now more than ever. We want to be here for you, but it's really hard to trust like going out to dinner. I mean, I see people on social media doing it, but how are you comfortable? I haven't eaten anywhere but my home since at least February. I know that for sure because it was my mother's birthday. To the men and women who make and deliver our products, you are the backbone of the company, and we are grateful for you. We can't pay you more. I mean, people really haven't been buying the cakes, but we want to. The stockholders have to be paid first, and then we'll get to you. You know how it is, right? You understand. I mean, it's good you still have a job. To our customers, I know you didn't expect a heartfelt message from a snack food. But relevance is hard in the social media age, and we hope this appeal to your emotions will make you empty your wallets as you consider us like family. I don't know. Is it working? We know it was a difficult few months, and there is no end in sight, but at least you can still get Wacky Snacks. They are on the shelves, on time. We are in this together, and we remain dedicated today and every day to inspiring smiles with our snacks. Remember when you go to the store to pick us up and wash your hands and wear your mask. And hopefully someday this nightmare will end. Wacky Cakes, we're over it too. Welcome to the Hallspace Podcast. It's about connections. I'm your host, Dr. Ritch Hall, and this is a weekly conversation about whatever and however I see to connect things. For people who want to connect, chat, and learn a thing or two about a thing or two. Without further ado, let's start the show. Hello, everybody.
Hey there. Welcome back.
How's everybody doing? You can't answer, so I don't know why I always wait for an answer, but...
They answered where they were.
Yes. Hopefully they did, because we are thinking about you, and
we are
hoping that you're doing well and keep yourself safe during a global pandemic.
Safe and entertained, right?
Right. As best you can.
Yeah.
For those of you who are rocking with us. My name is Dr. Ritch Hall, and I'm with my lovely and capable wife today.
Hola, Nicole Hall.
Yes, Nicole Hall, who is the other half of the Hallspace Podcast.
There are two halls.
There are two halls in this podcast. She keeps reminding me whenever she comes up with an idea for the podcast, and I'm like, I don't know. She's like, there are two halls.
There are two halls.
She's already talking about joining a whole nother podcast.
Listen, hey, Speak Kaya, we are definitely going to chat about some things.
Yes. So she's talking about doing her already. I made a star out of her. It took 13 episodes before she started talking about having her own spinoff show.
It's, we're just talking about stuff that, to African-American women, mother, Christian women,
No, I'm all for it.
And we're family, so,
I'm all for it. I was told I'm going to be the producer of that show, apparently.
We definitely need you to.
Yeah, which I was surprised by.
Yay.
But willing to do it. Yeah. Just to support. And,
we're working on titles and topics and
marketing and all that.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
She is on with someone else on Tuesday. And we'll put that in the show notes. I want to make sure I get the name and the link correct. She's joining another lady for a podcast on Tuesday.
Nice.
So, and it sounds like it's going to be really good. So
Cool. Check
out and support. And we also want to thank everybody who's always been supporting us. Chris, Natalie,
Angel. Yes, all the people who hit us up.
Mom and Dad are starting listening.
Right. Keep sharing us on the Facebook.
I know. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah. apparently my parents have been sharing the Facebook link. So I apologize to anyone who's friends with my dad on Facebook. It's a whole thing.
He shares everything all the time. He shares multiple places.
He will share things multiple places. He will tag you in things just because you know him.
Dad, we're all in the same place.
If we are connected to you on Facebook, you don't need to tag us.
You don't have to do
because we see everything that comes up in your feed. So when you tag us, you're now putting it on our page too. Right. And we've had this conversation, and yet he's still doing it. He will share something that we're all already in.
Dad does what he wants.
And then tag us in it as if we want it also on our pages.
Thank you for showing the love, Dad.
But I think his limited knowledge of how it works means he doesn't quite know when I've untagged myself, because I will frequently
he doesn't.
untag myself. I don't need to be tagged in this sermon by this random church person.
He's doing his due diligence by getting the word out.
He's spreading the word. I mean, hey, that's what it says in the Bible. Go forth and spread the word. Right. He is taking that very seriously sometimes. With everything. Yes.
Yeah, no, he does share everything.
Everything.
So his sermons, other people's sermons.
Right.
Hey, our podcast is on the list.
Yes, he has started sharing our podcast.
Yay.
Whenever I come up with a good intro. Oh, thank you to the people who've also been saying nice things about the cold opens, the commercials and silly things that I've been doing to make this interesting and hopefully get more people to listen. It hasn't really upped subscribership, really, which is interesting.
But it's comedic brilliance.
Yeah. I'm having a good time doing them. So I've always had an interest in entertainment and producing things. So it lets me flex that muscle. So I have a great, I lock in and I'm like, what's a good idea? And then I'm like searching out sound effects and audio clips and things like that. I
think it's first of all fascinating to see this side of you, because like you said, you're a hair autistic, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're very sort of into the books and the reading and all this.
Very nerdy and dry and dry humor.
Exactly. So I'm in the other room. I never know when he's going to do these commercials, y'all. So I just hear him.
She doesn't even know what they're going to be.
I have no idea what
happening.
They're going to be. And so I'm in the bedroom and his office is down the hall a ways. And I hear him go, DWB. And I'm like, what is he doing in there?
And I keep doing it because I got to get it right.
Because you got to get it right.
I got a sound in my head that I'm looking for.
You do. And then you brought in our middle son, Daniel.
And I was so happy. Daniel's been my really co-producer.
Good. Yeah.
I'm gonna put him in the show credits. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, the credits all have names of characters, and once again, those characters are all me. They're just names I've used for different characters.
Can we pause there for a minute?
We can pause there.
Yes, at the end, Richie talks really fast about who's producing what, who wrote what. They're all him.
Well, it's better than saying produced by Dr. Ritch Hall, written by Dr. Ritch Hall.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
But
they're pseudonyms that I've used at different times in my life.
Confession time. I didn't know who those people.
You didn't know who those people were? I've gotten feedback. Someone asked me, I thought you did all the show. Who are those people you're saying wrote the show? And I'm like, oh, those are all me.
So for people who don't know, I mean, I know the names. I know what your other aliases
she didn't even know.
Are.
Yeah.
But, and I listened to it, but I didn't, Slash and Trash.
Yeah. Slash and Trash News was when I was a teenager, or when younger than grade school. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to, at some point, get my cousin on the show and my brother, and we're going to talk about Slash and Trash News. No, it wasn't TD. So when I was very young lad,
Joey,
my cousin Joey visited. We visited West Virginia, and he's from Atlanta, so he was in West Virginia, and so we were staying there for a night. And I guess we were in middle school. This would have been middle school. And we're all in a bed, and I've got a tape recorder. This is back when I was doing tape recorded journal entries, which is a whole nother. I'll share some of that with you guys, and you'll hear existential, angsty 7th grade Rich,
who sounds like Ra.
Yeah,
which
and
is so weird.
Is so full of himself.
Yeah,
and we created a show. We sat down and created a news show called Slash and Trash News. Yep. And I feel like one show was on video game addiction. Mm-hmm. And then there was another episode of a show that I can't remember what the other one was, but it was just us doing jokes, and we did fake commercials, and it's just us we're trading off as being the correspondent and man on the street, and it's a full production that's just 3 black kids in a bedroom in the middle. Also, it was the middle of the night. We should have gone to bed.
We all at Granny's?
We were at my mom's. So my father's mother.
That's right.
We were visiting there because Joey's the Hall side of my family.
That's right.
I'm 2 sides of my family. The Hall side is my dad's side. Wiggins' side is my mom's side.
And they're both really large.
Yes, and Joey is he's actually my second cousin. my Uncle Joey, who I always call Uncle, is actually a cousin.
Okay, right.
A first cousin, and then Joey Jr. Is a second cousin. And he was our age. We really clicked.
He's
we hung
nice
out.
kid.
He was one of those cousins you always looked forward to every summer getting to spend time with him. And, you didn't see him all year, but he was on your mind. And it was back before social media where you couldn't call people or connect.
Yeah.
I guess you could call, but we didn't use the phone at that age, really. You used the phone to call girls. You didn't use the phone in 7th grade to call like a cousin who lives.
Yeah, because eventually I'm going to see you. You're my cousin. So.
Yeah. So you take that for granted to some degree. So it made a difference. And we sat up in the middle of the night until like 1 or 2 in the morning making a radio show.
Nice. And
so the show was called Slash and Trash News. So when I created the studio in my office and I was trying to come up with what should I call the studio? Well, I'm just going to call it Slash and Trash Studios because that's the origin of me and recording things.
And that was the one that it took me the longest to get.
Yes.
You've always had the pen name Daggerpin
Davis. I have not always. That one came up in college. So when I was in college, I came up with a pseudonym to write crime novels, and it was going to be Daggerpin Davis.
Yeah.
And still one day when I really do, because I don't think people want their psychologist writing crime novels. So Daggerpin Davis, if you ever see that on the shelves, that's Dr. Ritch Hall. And then what's the other one? DJ Cabal.
DJ Cabal makes all the mixtapes.
When I was in grad school, or not in graduate school, undergrad, I would make mixtapes or bootleg CDs for people, and I'd write DJ Cabal on them.
He made me some Valentine CDs.
Yes, from DJ Cabal. So DJ Cabal curated the music for this show. And I think Chuck Jones. Chuck Jones I used to do a radio voice so going back even further, when I was in the 7th grade, and I would make mixtapes. I made a mixtape for a girl named Kia Watkins, and on it, I started calling myself Chuck Jones, the radio announcer. And so I assumed that in the story, the narrative of Chuck Jones's life, he's no longer a radio announcer, but he does have the skills to be a podcast producer. And so he produces my podcast. But he used to have a booming career as an announcer on a daytime radio show that we used to ask this girl if she liked me or not. So
you have multiple personalities, is what you're saying.
Well, I think any good writer has a head full of people talking. And, if you're really good, you give them names. And if
they're all different.
You can monetize it. You can commodify it. And you get those voices out. And that's one of the reasons I think I like doing the show, because I get the opportunity to talk about things on a different level. And then, like I said, coming up with the cold open is like, oh, let me do something creative and funny.
Yeah, you get to stretch those muscles.
Yes. And I don't, my professional life doesn't let me do that really in the same way.
Yeah, I don't.
I used to get to do it when I taught a little bit. Like I could be a little bit out there to teach things, but otherwise there's no room for me to just be like, oh, I'm going to do a skit. Like where do you insert that into your work life?
No, I want to talk to you about my trauma.
Right. No. Right now I'd like to do a skit on capitalism.
Nope, that's
capitalism doesn't care.
No.
Let's do that. We're going to do that. Okay. No. So I know you want to talk about this anxiety that you got going.
I'm going to get another doctor because this is
we had such a good rapport.
Did we though?
Please give me 5 stars on Yelp.
Oh, Yelp. Oh no, I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah. So yes, that's the background. It's another one of those in-jokes that Rich. This show is actually full of in-jokes, particularly the cold opens and what I call the encores, the thing that happens at the very end.
And I always ask, like, are you going to explain that?
I'm not going to explain most of them. It's just if the show is funny to me, then I assume that it's entertaining to other people. So that's the secret to my humor.
You so you can explain it to folks.
Yes, she assumes that people need to know, and I'm like, who knows if they need to know or not? We'll just see what happens.
Oh, I just felt Victoria vibes. She asked why about everything.
She's at that why about everything phase.
She's at why about
Sometimes
everything.
It's a little bit defiant, like, hey, I want you to stop doing that. Why?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do if I don't?
You want to find out?
You do not want to find out. Like, and I realized that what's being triggered in me is my parents. Like, I could never have asked, what would you do if I
She's genuinely
do this anyway?
asking, though.
Yeah, there's a genuine curiosity that feels spicy.
But it's not.
It's not intentionally spicy. It's curious.
And that's the one thing I noticed about her when she's like, what are you going to do? She's legit like, what are you going to do?
What will be the consequence for this action?
Happen? Could you run down the list for me? She's genuinely curious.
But it sounds mad disrespectful. And I usually am like, mess around and find out. How about that?
Right.
How about that? Oh, that was, so I do remember the story I was going to tell on the podcast. And it's totally one that would make a great encore, but now I'm in the middle of telling it. So my kids were up. It was like midnight. What day was that? That was like Tuesday or Wednesday. My children were up. My wife had tapped out because she usually taps out around 9. Around 9, she's in bed. By 10, she's gone to the world. And so if the kids are still up or I'm still up, it's, you know, it's kind of our night. And for some reason, they just were not cooperating with the whole bedtime thing. Like I usually, by 9, I'm like, you should be in your room in bed. By quiet. 10, then it's like, hey, everybody shut up. And by midnight, I'm like, what are you still doing? Right. Getting into things.
And what the kids don't know is if you're quiet and not bothering anybody, we're not going to bother you.
If they're just in their room, you know, messing around, so long as they're quiet, we won't bother them. But the
kids have taken to playing Roblox together.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, they're playing Roblox together, which means Victoria's been allowed to stay in Ra's room.
Which is big.
Which is huge because literally up until a few weeks ago, you know, because we're all quarantining and they are not going to school right now, they are trapped in the house together. And they have been getting on each other's nerves considerably. Like it's been a lot of fighting.
And they've banned her from their room.
Yeah, and Daniel does not like her in the room.
He doesn't like it ever.
Richie tolerates it to some degree. Now she gets on his nerves. I feel like since he's had some things to share with her, she gets on his nerves a little less.
Yeah, they play together.
Now that they can play Roblox together, and he like can escort her around the world of Roblox.
And the interesting thing is they shared Roblox. Now she will watch World War II stuff with him and hang out and play War Guys.
Oh, nice. And they've had a few moments when that's happened too.
Yeah.
So now that they have a shared experience they can both engage in, a shared interest, they are getting along a lot better. So, and another new piece of information for those of you who don't know in the crowd, Nicole's mother is now living with us.
She is.
And staying in our basement in a little room that we've created for her. It's very nice.
We got her set up really nicely.
But the kids, you know, they don't always understand that means, hey, now an old lady is sleeping in our basement,
Please
so you need
quiet.
to chill out and be quiet.
Shut up.
Right. And so in this story that I'm going to tell, that I'm going to spend like more than 5 minutes telling because I tell a long story. Her mother's already gone to bed. It's after 9 o'clock. It's like 10.
And my mom goes to bed earlier than I do.
Right.
But she's like me. She sleeps like the dead. So she's not really bothered by any of the noise, but it's still mad disrespectful.
It's mad disrespectful.
Still mad disrespectful.
So y'all need to shut up.
Shut
So, and we don't like say shut up to them until we like it. Our first one is almost never. It's like, hey guys, could you
we
keep
don't
it
start
down?
out. Listen.
Hey guys, could you? Hey, buddy. Hey, could you keep it down over there?
I've asked you thrice.
Right.
I've asked you thrice.
Right. And then by the fourth or fifth, hey. Now. And so that's what this story is about. So, just keep in context. I was downstairs playing video games. That's what it was. I was playing video games with Daniel. We got to the end of the video game and I said I was going to bed. Next thing I know, I hear all this like banging around and I come upstairs, they're chasing the cat. And I'm like, y'all need to go to bed. And it's like 10 o'clock at night. Time passes. I'm still hearing noise. Next thing I know, they've all gone to the basement. And I don't know why they're in the basement. But like I said, her mother is sleeping down there.
Mama's in the basement.
And so I'm like,
and they don't normally play in the basement.
No. But the cat had gone downstairs.
Yeah.
So to them, this
for
is the
refuge,
perfect,
probably.
Yes, it was running from them. And so they're downstairs chasing the cat. And I go downstairs. At first, I'm like, hey, y'all need to go to bed. But then nobody moves. And so I go downstairs and I was like, I know I heard myself say. That's what I often say to my children because they don't always respond the first time I've said something. But I know I've heard myself say the thing.
I was there when I said it.
I was there when I said it. So I feel like you're disrespecting me by not doing what I say. When I know I heard myself say it.
You said it in English, yeah.
And I said it in all the English that I know you understand.
That you know the English.
Because you asked me for things in English, so I know you can understand
totally
English.
Know what I'm saying here.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So I go downstairs and I'm like, I know I heard myself say go to bed. Several of the times. Y'all need to go to bed.
Thrice I've asked you.
Right.
Thrice.
And then they don't move immediately. Victoria like starts running upstairs. She was like, I'm going. Dale's like, I'm going. I'm on the stairs, and Dale has the tendency to talk too much when these moments are happening.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, man, don't keep talking at me because now you're talking back to me.
And Rod just stands back and watches the action.
Right. And Rod kind of tries to disappear when these moments happen. But
he tries to blend into the furniture.
If that dude could turn into a chair, an inanimate object,
a tree,
he would. He's just all eyes, and he's like,
he don't want no smoke.
He doesn't want any of the smoke. And so Ross still chasing the cat, and I'm like, leave that cat alone and go upstairs. I'm not playing right now. This is not my I'm playing voice. Right. This is not my this is all jokes voice.
Do I look like I'm playing?
Does the look on my face say that this is in any way an entertainment moment that's happening betwixt us? Or is this not instead I'm going to rain down fire on you if I'm not listened to? But you have to get
Ra's attention. Sometimes he is just not.
He should. I mean, and I understand. Once again,
his own world.
Being team ADHD myself, I know what it's like to not be like fully attuned and then be like, oh, you're asking something.
Yeah, you're in the background and you sound like, womp.
Right. So I got his full attention now, and I send everybody upstairs.
Okay.
But then I go to my office, which is right next door to their room. I mean, it's across the hall from their room. And they're in there still playing around. And I'm like, I have said go to bed. What part of that don't you understand? And they're just like talking amongst themselves, and they're getting into a fight about Victoria wants to sleep on the beanbag chair, but it's Daniel's beanbag chair, so he refuses to allow her to sleep on it just on principle. He doesn't want to sleep in it, but he just doesn't want her in it.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't care who sleeps where. I just know y'all all need to be quiet and in bed. I leave, and I come back again, and they're still making noise. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, what do you hear when I say go to bed? Because I feel like you're not hearing what I mean when I say go to bed.
Because your actions don't show that you're listening.
Do you think I mean pull out another computer and pull out a fire and turn on the TV and talk amongst yourselves?
Yeah.
Loudly as if people aren't sleeping in this house? At this point, it was 1 a.m. Mm-hmm. So this has been going on for several hours of me being like, hey, guys, go to bed. Hey, get to bed. Hey, get to bed. No. I mean it. Go to bed. Hey, why are you downstairs? Go to bed.
You're not listening to my words. Get up there.
Genuinely, like, I am dumbfounded. What do you think I'm saying? Because I know I've said it too many times, and it must be a misunderstanding on my part.
It must be.
Maybe I'm not communicating clearly
what
you need to hear. Because at this point, so I took every device from the room. I turned off the TV and I said, I swear, if I have to come back in here, I don't know what I'm going to do. I am genuinely going to be surprised by my next move, but I guarantee you I'm going to make the rest of your week miserable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to just come up with creative ways to make it difficult for you because of these little acts of defiance, because I'm at the point now where I've got so few outlets.
We here now.
We here now. Right. We here now.
Yeah.
Nah, you wanted to meet the bad guy.
The bad guy here now.
Bad guy here now. So, I mean, and I frequently tell them, you don't want to meet the other guy. Like, this is the nice me. This is the me that's willing to negotiate.
Well, I think what the interesting thing is they never get to see that guy, right?
They occasionally, Daniel's met that other guy. Daniel's met the guy that yanked him up.
But Daniel pushes the limits on everybody with everything. He just don't know how.
He doesn't know how not to say anything back.
He doesn't. He just cannot close his mouth.
And we literally had to get to say another word to me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to yank you up.
And that's why you got him by his arm doing the mom pinch.
That's why I had to literally yank. I literally threw a chair and yanked him up. And I didn't even, I'm not a violent guy.
No,
but you keep talking back to me like
it was, no, I mean,
I'm not your parent.
And
so I feel like there's a need for a show of force. And once again, I'm not a violent person.
At all.
But it's like, say another word to me.
Yeah, I mean now
because it's not even now because you're just trying to come up with words to say.
And he's that kid, y'all, that mumbles. I mean, I don't.
He'll mumble a very defiant thing, like you don't even know what you're talking about. It doesn't make sense.
Why don't you go to sleep? Why don't you? I mean, and it doesn't. He's not even saying anything.
Right.
Saying anything, but he's still just talking.
Yeah. And you're like, hey man,
to stop.
You need to stop this because this doesn't work anywhere. There's nowhere on the planet.
There's nowhere where
you could go and they'd be like, okay, cool, just keep talking back to me while I'm giving you a direct order.
No, that's how you get throat chopped.
That's how you get throat chopped. That's how you get punched out in the streets, my guy. Like if I was a dude on the street, I would just stomp you out. You're lucky I'm your dad, whom loves you. Yeah. And what's best for you.
We got to sculpt that boy down some before.
Right. And I've told him, like, look, dude, because I love you, I'm not going to do what I would do if you were anyone else talking to me like this. But you need to understand that the words you were using and the way you were speaking to me is mad disrespectful. And you're about to learn a very valuable lesson about saying the wrong thing to the wrong person.
You handle those situations so well.
Do I? Because I'd be like,
I think
I just be feeling rage rides with them. Be like, and I know some of that's like, I was raised in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s where you could just knock a kid's block off.
Hey,
for being disrespectful. So some of those triggers are, being raised that way.
I'm being mad lenient right now.
Right.
Real lenient right now.
You don't understand what Ritch Hall Sr. would have done.
You have no idea.
You would have just knocked that look off your face.
Hey, listen, let me tell you what, though. I feel like You get a little, Brenda Brown's my mom name. Get you some Brenda Ethel and some Richie Senior in you.
Right.
Some of these kids need that sometimes, especially the youngest two. I think it would devastate Ra.
It would devastate Ra.
She normally doesn't like.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. You know your kids, right? You know what.
Yeah.
Rod threw those army guys away. He's like, I'm so sorry I wasted your money,
I was going to tell
Daddy.
that story. That's a whole nother thing.
That is a whole other thing. But, Rod doesn't like to disappoint.
He does not like a disappointer. And Daniel doesn't either, but Daniel has it in his head what he thinks.
Stop talking.
And then he's like, "What if I see this differently? It must be the way I see it." And it's like, "Nah, dude, because you don't have enough authority in this situation.
You're not old enough to see things differently,
right?
Okay,
right. I'm gonna need you to get on my agenda."
Yeah. No, see, by the time,
and if you had a valid opinion, and sometimes it's like sometimes I'm willing to admit I'm wrong as a parent, which is once again not something my parents would do.
But sometimes I don't care about your opinion right now,
right?
At all.
We're just trying to solve the problem of the immediate whatever is in front of us,
listen,
like going to bed.
Take your butt.
This is not a discussion about it.
No.
It is now midnight.
No.
You have school in the morning. There's no legitimate reason for you to be awake other than you just don't want to go to sleep.
See, I think by that time, so I feel like you definitely handle those situations way better than I do. And I think, especially if I'm tired, by the end of the day, my body hurts and I want to go to sleep. And if I have to make you go to sleep, I don't know. I'm at shut up. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Yeah. I said, I do start out. I try to start out kindergarten, man. I do. Like,
your nice cuddly voice.
Hey guys,
time for bed.
Yes, I mean, I don't know if I ever sound kindergarten. I probably
you do. You have a good. Do
I start?
Yeah, they have you have a version, like they consider you more immediately fun. Like they have to search their way to fun with me, but for you, they know they can kind of dive right into fun with you, which I think is definitely one of your strengths as a parent. Like I know with me, that's like I've got a kind of stoic, quiet demeanor with them.
Even the cats still try to figure you out.
Right.
What's this dude thinking?
So they enjoy it when I veer into fun, but with you, they make a lot of assumptions about you're already at fun, or they can get you there pretty quickly.
They can.
Whereas I kind of dispense it.
You do. Like this is a special time. This is a
time where we can be fun. But right now is not the time for fun. And I will often verbally label. This is not the time. I am not in any way joking right now.
Right.
If you don't put those shoes on,
you have pushed me too far.
It's not even pushed. I didn't even start out at joking. I left no leverage for joking here. No. I want you to put your shoes on so we can go. And they'll be like, haha. Of course, Victoria, like, let's turn it into a game. It's not a game.
Oh
right.
Gosh,
it's not a game. It's time to go.
No. Yeah, they get me to fun fast, but they also get me to mad fast.
Yeah.
So they get me to shut up way faster than you. And honestly, on everything, I try not to say the bad words, but if I'm tired and I've asked you multiple times and I done lost my kindergarten
I've noticed
voice.
Even in time, Nicole after 8 p.m. is pretty much like over parenting, and
done.
Would like only for you to do what she's asked you to do and nothing else.
I'm not taking any more requests, and especially if it's been a school day.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all. Ra has an 8:15. No, Victoria has an 8:15. Ra has an 8:30. I have an 8:30. Daniel has a 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And some of those calls I have to be on kind of with at least the little one. And then my job. And then I got to figure out dinner. And, just all that stuff is just mentally exhausting. So when I say go to bed.
Right.
Okay. I mean.
The expectation was for them to
go.
Yeah.
To bed.
Right.
Now I'm saying all the curse words. Why y'all make me like this? See,
right. 0 to 20.
I go so fast. I go from new age to old age.
Right.
I don't. Have
and honestly,
like
for
that,
me, it's not that big a deal because I mean, the age old adage. We don't hit them. We don't
do any of that.
We are in no way could we be determined to be emotionally abusive in any way. We are human, and we
get
do
frustrated.
Have our limits.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I go too far, and I've heard you do it too, if you go too far, we tend to apologize to them. Once again, we admit mistakes. Like, okay, I was a little upset.
We do.
At that moment.
Yeah. And I apologize whenever I think about it. Like, I remember I was really tired and it was like a Friday and Victoria was just the boys are on their calls and she's just dancing and doing stuff. And I'm like, you need to go upstairs, you know, get on there. And so she's like just screaming and crying just cause. And she comes back down and she still looks pretty sad. Normally that stuff kind of bounces off her. She's bounces like, right off of her. I'm back to it. I'm back to it. I'm fine. Yeah. You know, but she came down and she was very still sad. Frequently. Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm very sorry. I'm frustrated and I'm tired and you're not listening to my words. Yep. And so I told her I was sorry and I gave her a hug and she sat there and we cried for like 15 minutes. Like just, you know, I think she was probably tired too. Yeah. But, you know, those times have to happen where you're kind of like, okay, all right, you're frustrated. I'm frustrated. Let's just, you know, listen to my words. I'm asking you. And I'll try not to get to 10, you know. But I think those times are important, right? Where you say, okay, man, maybe I just, I'm yelling too much. We're not having fun. You're not having fun. I'm not having fun. Like this is, you know, not great for anybody. So you kind of have to step back. And I think that's the great thing about kids. They'll make you step back and say, you know what? We're not having any fun. Let's try to figure out what will be fun right now. I know we're supposed to be doing school or we're supposed to be doing cleaning or we're supposed to be doing.
There's always something.
There's always something. Always something. Yeah. But if you stop and your brain says, you know what, find something fun for everybody to do, drop everything and just do it. Yeah. You know, because that laundry's always going to be there. Yeah. It never stops for the love of all that is holy.
It does not stop. That is having a family. Having a family is this ongoing,
there's
never ending.
Constant. And we're home all the time.
Chores.
So if it's hard for us, it's definitely really hard for them. Like you said, my mom moved in. There's all this transition happening. Yeah. And we're just trying to figure out how to live in this new age, basically. And so I try to be mindful of that, and I try to be mindful of when I'm, you know, anxious, depressed, sad, whatever all that kind of stuff is, because sometimes the kids are too. Yeah. So yeah, I have those moments. I've had those moments with all the kids where I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just yelling, and I'm tired, and I'm frustrated, and you know, it's funny because all the kids are really good at asking you if you're okay. Because I do that sometimes too with them, you know, like, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? How'd your call go? You know, so they do that to me and to you and to grandma. Yeah. They're, you know.
And I taught Daniel the cheat code of ask people how their sleep was. How was your sleep?
And he does it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is interesting.
And and it's funny because he'll go and he'll check on mom and he'll say, hey, grandma, you doing okay? Yeah. Okay. You know, and I haven't asked him to do it. He just kind of does it. So. Yeah. Maybe they're learning something.
Yeah. We might be teaching them a little bit of good things.
Take your butt to bed when we
Take your butt to bed. What did you hear me say?
Listen, I know.
Because I know what I said was.
I know what I said.
Go to bed. But what did you think I said? And I genuinely asked, did you think I said turn on a computer and fire up your fire and start talking amongst yourselves? Did you think I said that? And so I took all the devices, turned off all the lights. They almost never sleep in the dark. No. But I turned off all the lights and the television and was like, don't turn another thing on.
So stop there. That's torturous. Okay. Turn off all the lights and it's quiet. Wow.
Yeah. They were all asleep though. Nobody turned anything on.
They did go to sleep because we will if you turn the stuff off.
Because you have nothing to stimulate yourself.
I don't want you to turn my stuff off though.
I turn your TV off all the time now.
I know you do.
You've actually learned to appreciate sleeping in the dark and the quiet. I do
appreciate to sleep in the dark and the quiet, but sometimes, okay, so Richie and I are opposites in many ways.
So many ways.
So many ways. He likes complete silence and
darkness. That's how you're supposed to sleep.
I
like the cavemen of yore. You sleep with no stimulation whatsoever.
Oh man. Okay, so but I personally like to fall asleep to Golden Girls or a murder show.
She falls asleep to murder. Sometimes I'm being chased in my dream or trying to catch a murderer in my dream. I'm on the FBI trying to track a murderer using only what forensic evidence was left at the scene, using only a shoe print. And
look at me, I'm the detective now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that.
I'm having dreams like that, which I don't mind necessarily the dreams like that. I remember when we were in our 20s, I stayed at your house for like a week. And I remember going back to my house and just enjoying sleeping in silence again because I had brain noise all week. That was when I was in graduate school.
Well, and it doesn't help when you're ADHD. So
it does not help when you're ADHD. So it's like having a TV on all the time. And, you know, I'm not really a guy who I listen to a lot of music in between, but like Somebody asked me this week, like, what do you watch on TV? I'm like, I haven't watched any TV. Like, I watch some specific shows, and then I'll turn it off. I watch a lot of random YouTube clips, but I don't watch a lot of straight up TV.
Well, and I think the interesting thing about you, too, is that if it were just you in the bedroom, you would never... There would be no TV on. There'd be no TV in the room. In a house like this, there'd be no TV in the bedroom because I have several rooms I can go to watch TV. So, well, you don't watch TV; you watch your computer.
I watch shows and I watch stuff on the computer, but on my computer, I got like multiple screens. So, so one of them is the size of what would have been a TV from 20 years ago.
It's not enjoyable.
Well,
not enjoyable.
I guess that's what that makes you an old person. You watch your TV as a TV.
I watch my TV as
and
a
she's
TV.
also watching Golden Girls, so yes, she is an old person.
Listen, Golden Girls.
Golden Girls is timeless. I appreciate Golden Girls. It is a timeless show.
Hilarious.
It is. I guess what my parents thought I Love Lucy was, like this sort of timeless classic show that would never go away.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it. And
it's highly recommended.
Yeah, it still stands up.
It does. You know,
there are a few episodes that are like, oh, this is a little kitsy, but otherwise it's still a solid
you could tell they had some other writers in there.
Yeah. But I always say any episode where Rose is dumb, there's Rose is bubbly are good episodes because then it's sort of this complex. Yeah. She's just a happy-go-lucky person who occasionally gets on people's nerves.
Yes.
But whenever Rose is straight up dumb, that's a badly written episode.
Badly written episode. It's true.
And you can kind of use that as the metric.
Yeah, if she's like uber fumbling, it's like,
or she's just saying things that no normal person would believe.
Yeah.
But whenever she's just sort of eclectic and weird and bubbly, it's like, oh, then this is a solid episode and it's going to be funny. But Rose's dumb episodes are going to be kitsy, sitcom-y.
It's funny. My girlfriends and I have talked about who everybody is.
Yeah. Are you the Rose? You're the. Who are you?
Rose.
You're the Rose, I guess.
Sometimes I'm
compared
the Rose.
to some other people, you'd be the Rose.
Yeah.
Because you come off as bubbly. I know that you're not the Rose.
Who am I? I'm the Sophia.
I know that you're more a Sophia. But, to them, I could see where they think you were the Rose in comparison.
Yeah.
You're not a Dorothy and you're definitely not a Blanche.
No, I'm not either. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I could see Rose in your friend group.
No. Yeah, if anybody watches the show, I would love to know if you identify with one of the characters. Who you identify as.
Yes.
But yeah, you were going to tell the other story about Rob.
I will. I'll save it for after the break because we're close to a break.
All right.
And I can go ahead and save that story for after the break. So when you come back, I'll tell the story about my son and once again trying to teach him how to be a man of integrity. And so we'll go ahead and we'll take that break now since I think it's about time.
See you soon.
All right. So let me tell you about Anchor Podcast. It's the podcasting service that I use. Anchor.fm is the easiest way to make a podcast, and there are many different reasons why, but foremost is it's free. So you don't need to go out and buy a whole bunch of equipment. If you have a phone or a computer and a microphone, you can record and edit your podcast right on your phone or computer. So that's one major benefit, as well as the fact that they'll distribute your podcast to several different podcasting sites for you. Not only can your podcast be found on Anchor, it can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast as well. So you don't have to worry about going to all those different sites and setting yourself up. They'll do it for you. You can also make some money on your podcast. Say you have a podcast that only 5 people listen to on a regular basis. They don't limit you on how many subscribers you have to have in order to be able to make a little bit of change for your podcast to keep yourself going. So pretty much everything you need to start a podcast can be found at Anchor.fm. So go download the app either in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, or go to Anchor.fm to get started. And I guarantee you, it'll make things so much easier for you, like it has for me. And we're back.
Welcome back.
Hello. We're actually going to get this episode under an hour today. We did an extra long Breonna Taylor episode last week.
We did.
And it was like, well, if we're going to listen to us for 2 hours, we should try to keep this one at time.
Yeah.
An hour or a little more. And right now,
the struggle is real.
The struggle to keep it under an hour is real. Because when the conversation is just so good, you don't want to walk away.
Yeah.
Or it's on me as the person who edits these episodes. I could cut out some of the filler, but I'm like, I'm kind of enjoying the episode when I'm listening.
Yeah.
And so I just don't cut. I usually cut like just dead air or when a conversation literally trails off. But for the most part, what you hear is what we were talking about at the time.
Yeah, I don't think you have to cut a lot, but...
Yeah, it's pretty close to live.
Yeah.
Once again, Dr. Ritch Hall and my lovely wife, Nicole Hall. Lovely and capable.
Welcome back. Lovely and capable.
Lovely and capable. Can't forget the capable. And we were talking about just our family and some things that have been going on in the family recently with the kids and how the struggle to keep them have integrity and to raise them right in a world where there are a lot of influences. And I've said this before on the show, like being home with them hasn't been the worst thing in the world. You know, right. I do wish they'd go somewhere, anywhere.
But they're living a good life.
They're enjoying themselves.
They are
thoroughly.
really enjoying themselves. Yeah.
And still a little too young to know what they're missing out on. They do miss friends.
Right.
You know, it's weird. They're making friends via Zoom. Victoria has a little friend she wants to call offline
all
sometimes.
The time. Yes, Daralee, she's her friend. They wave at each other every time class starts. Like
right. And in some ways, Ra is like thriving with homeschool. Like he gets to do his work and then he's done.
Yeah.
And he kind of does it and he's totally fine. He doesn't feel like he's missing out on much of anything.
Same with Daniel.
And Daniel is sort of just keeping up with, you know, what he's responsible
he's
for.
He's doing his work and he's out of there.
I mean, I do have some issues with the way they do homeschool. I feel like they are not necessarily understanding of, you know, what it's like to be a working parent schooling a kid during a pandemic.
Right.
They're very much like, hey, this assignment's due today. But it's like, no, can it just be due when they get it done? Like,
right. Can we just do it
understanding
later?
That it takes time and attention with some of these kids to get some work done. Like
all of Ra's work requires assistance.
Yeah.
He's smart. He can get it, but he needs.
You still got to help him out.
You still have to help him through it.
Yeah.
What I did notice the other day in his morning class was that Ms. Hardesty pulled him out to help him finish his work for that day.
Okay. That's
good. And then he has Mondays and Thursdays where she helps him through that work.
Yeah.
Don't want to sign nothing on Wednesday and expect it to be due on Thursday.
Right.
Hey, if I get him to class and he participates, that's winning in my house because I still have a job.
The bar is low.
You still have a job.
Yeah. And my job involves being locked in a room talking to someone for 45 minutes.
It does.
And so as much as I do help and want to help.
You're there when you can be there, but your job requires
full attention.
Absolute
to make sure
attention.
these people are okay and happy and healthy during a pandemic.
During a really hard time. Hard time.
It's been very stressful, I will say. Yeah. The students... I do feel like sometimes my job is a lot of telling people, you know, it's a pandemic, right? So give yourself.
Because we forget. Give yourself
people
some
forget.
Grace.
They get really hard on themselves. People are very like all the same stress that people put on themselves isn't going away during this pandemic. Like a lot of times when it comes to anxiety, it's remembering that there are factors outside of yourself that might be contributing to whatever's right in front of you.
Right.
But a lot of people will internalize. So this went poorly. This did not go as I expected. So there must be something wrong with me.
This must be my fault. Yeah.
And one of the secrets that I always tell people, that like one of the kernels of wisdom that is therapy with Ritch Hall is your brain is not a happiness machine. Most people assume their brain wants them to be happy. Your brain actually doesn't care about happiness. Happiness is just a moment before you want more happiness, to quote Mad Men. In reality, your brain is a machine that's there to solve the problems and keep you alive. It believes that survival is problem solving. And so what it does is just look for a problem and it will search high and low for a problem to solve. It's a pattern recognizing problem solver. And so with a lot of things that happen in your life, you have in your head this expectation. And if the expectation isn't met, your brain goes, well, what could be wrong that I didn't get what I wanted out of this?
How can I fix this?
How can I fix this? And if there is no immediate thing to latch onto, well, then it must be me. There must be a problem with me that these things happen to me, or there must be something wrong with me that I am unhappy, or there must be something wrong with me that these outcomes happen to me over and over again. So you think
we're naturally wired this way?
We are naturally wired to focus on the negatives and the problems, yes. Because
to fix them.
Yes. I mean, and that's a whole speech.
Not because we're Eeyore, but because...
No. Now, normal, neurotypical people, so people without any sort of mental illness, for the most part, they go, what's the problem? And they look for all the factors, and they're able to see multiple factors that could contribute to the problem.
Okay.
So they're able to go, it could be, global pandemic. And also I didn't eat today. And also I need a nap. And also that person's being a jerk. So it's not just me that they were mean to me.
Right.
It's something happening between the two of us. Or they may think, well, are they mean to me because they don't like me? But then they're able to move on. Like they don't hold on to it. Like maybe it's something else. Okay. And they move on. They don't hold on to it. Right. But the people who struggle with mental health stuff, I mean, and I'm not saying all the way to like a diagnosable problem, but like you get that kernel of a problem and then it's like sand in a clamshell. You just keep rubbing over and over it until it becomes this huge pearl, right? It's just this thing that you focus on and you work until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point, someone needs to take it out of your shell before it ends up, suffocating you, basically. Wow. It's this idea that we get a little kernel of an idea, this what we call a core belief about ourselves, and we just mull over it forever, and we look for any evidence that can support it. And so if I believe the problem is I'm a bad person, then any interaction I have, I'm comparing it to this initial belief. And anything that justifies the problem, then I'm like, yep, that's totally right. I knew it all along. I'm a bad person.
That's a bias?
That's a bias, yeah. Technically, yes. But it's also negative self-talk and negative core beliefs that lead to often some pathological behaviors and or just an overwhelming amount of worry and anxiety. And so if you can't, once again, look for external factors, it isn't all about you. It could be other things. Then you're able to sort of alleviate some of the pressure that you put on yourselves so that you don't have to, once again, focus on the problem being you.
I would tell you it is a good day when I can look at an issue and realize that there are multiple external factors. Yeah. And I can move on. Yeah. It's rare, but when it does happen, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've kind of learned to sometimes remind you, like, this doesn't matter. Yeah. You were like, I didn't get to dinner. And it's like, did we eat? And you're like, yeah. Okay, then. Problem solved. Everyone ate today. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you didn't bake that whole chicken and cook a 7-course meal today. It doesn't matter. We all ate. So you can let that go. You don't have to judge yourself against that standard because that's not the standard I'm judging you by. And in a good relationship, the other person should ideally validate how you feel about yourself rather than feeding into those negative impulses. There could be times where, the other person could double down and be like, you're right. Why didn't you cook dinner? You know what? Your job is to always cook me dinner. Oh, and if you fall down on that job, then something's wrong with you. Yeah. Yeah. I don't need to amend my expectations at all. You should always be superhumanly good at cooking me dinner and handling all the other responsibilities. It's a global pandemic. Our kids are being homeschooled. Yeah. We are stuck in the house. Yeah. I mean, if you don't make dinner and they have to deliver it to us, that's why the good Lord gave us DoorDash. All right. He wouldn't have put it on this earth if we weren't supposed to use it. Right. So we're going to use the heck out of it. That's just what it's going to be.
I mean, and I cook when I can. Yeah. I like to cook. Yeah. I like food.
Right.
But
I mean, there are times where I cook more, and there are times where I kind of fall down for whatever reason, and I'm like,
and you say the same thing, like, man, I really meant to make X, Y, and Z, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, it wasn't even in my. And oftentimes, and you don't know this, it's not even a thought in the other person's mind as a missed opportunity. Right. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you're like, man, I meant to make ribs on this day. And it's like, oh yeah. No, ribs would have been good, but I am not upset that it didn't happen.
You're not sitting around thinking, man, this nigga needs to make some ribs.
This dude, he said he was going to make ribs. Right.
Ugh. Gets on my nerves.
Just breathing all the air.
All the non-making rib air. And it would be fine if he was using that air to make ribs.
But instead,
he's just in his office.
Doing whatever it is he's doing in here.
So it helps. And once again, expectations are often very key in how we treat ourselves and how we think of ourselves. Yeah. And when if we set them too high, then it could be very easy to beat ourselves up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the other person doesn't always know what those expectations are.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes, we will talk about what we think our base expectations are. But I think one of the things that's really great is that, we'll be flexible with it. Like, okay, well,
you have to be flexible with it.
You have no other choice but to be, I guess you could be non-flexible.
There are a lot of people who are non-flexible.
There are some people who just...
so much of my job is people who are being inflexible with themselves or with others.
Yeah.
And you're like, you could just like give up on that.
It'll just
Where'd you get this notion from in the first place? You can give up on it, right? Like it's not anchored to anything valid.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the overarching issue with where we are is with this COVID thing, with school, listen, COVID's real. People are getting sick and catching it. Some people are dying. Some people are not.
A lot of people dying. Too many people dying.
Too many people dying that don't need to. That's my whole personal opinion. That's a whole nother
more could be done.
Story. More definitely. Right. But there should be a flexibility, an ability for us to say, okay, you shouldn't have to decide between risking your life and feeding your family.
Right.
At the minimum, right?
Particularly not an organized society that is supposed to be as well off as America says it is.
We are.
Where, I mean...
So I saw a post that said that the United States is a third world country in a Gucci belt.
There's some truth to that. I mean, I think at the beginning of this pandemic, all the businesses that are closing as a result of the pandemic pretty much says that capitalism is not the... it's able to trick everybody into thinking it's got it going well, but it's that house up the street that's really big and the family looks like, but they're like cash poor.
But they're
I remember that
there's no furniture
I remember there was this commercial where this guy was like, Jeb's living his best life, and it's like he's riding a lawnmower and he's like doing barbecues, and they said, how do you do it, Jeb? And he's like, I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. And I remember like that commercial stuck with me. Like, we often sort of joke about the, people living the American dream and people in, the suburbs and all the fun they're having.
Yeah.
And in reality, they're often unhappy or, they're just, everybody feels like they're just staying afloat. Even the people who make hundreds of thousands of dollars, got really nice houses.
They want to be able to maintain that same lifestyle.
Yeah, so they can have, hundreds of thousands in savings and whatnot, but still feel like, even billionaires feel like they don't have enough money.
Because you know how fast you can blow through all of that.
Also, the human brain is focused on its own problems. And it often thinks that even though I got some things going well, there's still some things that could be better. So
on a mom note, or just a parent note in general, one of the things I always stress myself out about is the house being clean and stuff like that.
Yeah, and which is impossible with children who I've said before are agents of chaos who only want to destroy. They see a nice clean room and they're like, let me fill it with random stuff.
Let me just...
They don't say, this room looks nice and clean. Let me just sit in here and enjoy the empty cleanness.
Let me enjoy the cleanness. No.
They're like, you know what? I'm going to bring all my G.I. Joes in here and set up army men all over the floor and then leave once I'm done and just leave them everywhere. Or Victoria, I'd like to cut up paper in here. I'd like to just cut up magazines and leave them everywhere.
These are my paper dolls.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just leave them everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, Daniel's the only one who doesn't do that. Like he does a version of that. He will leave a half-eaten plate of waffles and syrup.
But then he'll be
in a room.
Yeah. If you tell him, he'll throw it away, and that's his one thing. That's it. Yeah. But I think one of the pieces of advice that I've always gotten, and I feel like your mom has said it, and my aunt has said it, and I've heard it many times before, is like, is everybody having fun? Because there are people who have really, really clean houses.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything because...
They can't live in those houses.
They can't live.
They don't really live in the space.
Yeah. So...
Yeah. Are the kids happy? Are they having a good time? Do they like living here?
Yeah. And
if that's the case, then it's all okay.
Yeah. And let me tell you what, I will clean this house from top to bottom, and it takes them minutes.
Mere minutes
to
destroy it.
And
she will give a whole day of her life. She will give a full 8-hour workday,
sweaty, just 8-hour workday,
and get the house into pristine condition. Only for them to come home and immediately start putting stuff. And I'm like running around the house yelling at people like, "Hey, get that out of here!
Get out of here!
That woman spent all day cleaning up this house. You are rude. You don't even know how rude you are."
That's because you saw me running around in circles, spraying everything.
Right, this lady's running around with Pine Sol and Dr. Bonners spraying everything.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because the other day Victoria Saturday, she had brought all her babies in, and she's got them lined up very neatly on our bed. And then she comes in, she's like, "You're supposed to clean up your mess." So she takes all her dolls and she's like, "I'm going to take these back to my room."
Nice. So she knows.
She knows
that she's supposed to take them back to her room.
She
just doesn't do it.
I was surprised that she did it. I didn't ask her to do it. She just did it.
Yeah, but what about all the other times where she just leaves her toys?
Who is she possessed by right now?
Right. And how do we get that person? How do we get that Victoria
do I get that little girl?
Yeah. Like, let me know what game we're playing right now, because I want to play this game more often. You clean up after yourself game.
I was so confused. Now,
understandably so.
She likes a clean room too, though. And if you give her a toy box, she'll put that stuff away. Okay, so I know I said this before. I took all her toys.
Did you say that on the show?
I don't know if I said it on the show.
You said it so many times, but you didn't say it on the show.
So before my mom came to stay with us this last time, she had her toys all over the floor. My mom has been sleeping in Victoria's room.
Been sleeping up until
until
a week ago.
Yeah, until we fixed her up in the basement. Together, we got her furniture and her bed and all that kind of stuff. And she had dolls all over the place. I'm like, Grandma's going to trip and fall. We don't need all that kind of trouble. Plus, it's a mess. Get it up off the floor. And she refused. And I said, okay. Well, she said she would do it, and then she didn't do it, basically. And so I got garbage bags. I put all her toys in garbage bags. She's got 3 garbage bags of toys in the basement right now. She don't miss those toys.
Oh, really?
At all.
Because they're out of sight. I mean, she's got a hair of the ADHD too, so.
She does.
To her, if she can't see it, it doesn't really exist until she sees it again.
You know where they're going? To the Goodwill.
That's where they should go.
I'm not going to reintroduce them.
Yeah, it would be a mistake on your part.
It would be.
That's how you know you're an adult. I know I'm an adult because I'm totally willing to get rid of toys and candy. Yeah. That was the moment I knew, like, wait, I'm an adult. I'm
a full-on adult.
Because why do we still have this candy from last Halloween?
Why do we have this Halloween candy?
Right. It is April. I'm throwing it out. I didn't even look into it for the good candy.
Doesn't even matter at this point.
I didn't even look for it. Like, is any of this candy any good? Are there any Milky Ways in here? Nope. It's all got to go. I didn't even look.
Because your teeth can't handle the nougat after 6 months.
Be a mistake. Yeah. When I started throwing away candy and toys, that's when I realized I had transcended. I was no longer the child. I was now an adult.
How many times have you said as a kid, I'm not going to be like...
I wasn't.
I'm going to be cooler.
I'm going to be the cool parent.
I'm not going to make them put their toys.
No. Why would I?
I would never take their toys away.
I'm never just going to run into the room and be mean to them and force them to clean up when they're doing something else.
Honestly, as a kid, you think your parents are just coming in and they're just wilding.
Being rude for no reason.
You have no idea.
Why are you so upset?
Why are you so mad?
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense to them.
I don't understand why why did he have to yell at me? It didn't make any sense.
I've been stewing for a week. I've asked you multiple times.
You've been given many opportunities to cleanse
that you
your
did
space.
Not take. No.
And you've chosen to ignore. No. What do you think I say when I say?
What do you think I said? when I said
clean your room.
Right.
What did you think I was saying?
Oh, yeah.
Because that was obviously not what I was saying. What I intended was clean your room.
So here's the funny thing. So Richie goes to work certain days of the week.
Yeah, I'm in the office certain days of the week.
You go to the office. It's still telehealth, which is stupid.
Which is dumb. But whatever.
You're in a quiet office, so I'm jealous.
It's sad because I'm in the office for 8 hours, and because of the way my schedule is, most of my clients do not have classes on Tuesdays to Thursdays. So I have majority of my clients can only be seen on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're not available on Monday or Wednesday when I'm in the office, which means I get like 2 to 3 hour blocks of nothing to do.
Right.
And it sounds wonderful when you haven't been home for a quarantine. Right. Being home with nothing to do comes with a host of other opportunities. Yeah. Being stuck in an office now with nothing to do.
Painful.
It is pain. It's like, oh God, like I just got to fill the next 2 hours.
It's 1 o'clock. I don't have anybody till 3. That's crazy.
And
what do you do for that?
Right.
At your office.
Right. At the office.
At the office.
At the office.
Home.
At the office where it's still technically a quarantine, so I can't just wander the halls or just chat with people or anything like that. Like I can't just run.
You're locked in that room.
I'm locked in the building, in that room for the next 2 hours with little to do. Now, if it's at home, I have the freedom to walk around maskless and you know what I mean. Like
you could do some laundry, you could cook something,
right. Help one of the kids with their homework, something that feels
useful.
So it ends up creating a bit of a conflict within me to now have this time where I'm away when the kids are home and she's home with them. And it's just like I know I could be more useful to the team if I was at home.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be useful to my work team as well. But right now, just not as much as being asked of us because the students aren't in. So
But, you know, I mean, it works for us. And it's good for you to get away.
Yeah.
You know?
There are some days where I kind of appreciate it a little bit, but then it's like I'm not getting nearly enough done.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel worth it.
But your brain always says you could be doing more.
Right.
But I think...
Once again, problem-solving brain.
Yeah. But, like, again, you're the scavenger, right? You're the guy that goes out to do the stuffs.
Yes.
And I'm the homebody. So that works out, you know, perfectly.
Yeah.
Would I ship the kids off to you for those 3 hours? Absolutely.
I know.
But you know, it works out for us. But so Fridays you do like every other Friday, whatever.
Yeah.
And so Ra has these Army guys. He loves them. We get them by the hundreds, y'all. They come in these,
they get these
like,
buckets of Army men. It's the little green Army man with the base.
Y'all know them.
Yeah, they've been around for 3-4 decades. If you ask Bra, he can actually trace back their origins because he remembers history like that.
He can.
The first Army men were made after World War One, and he will tell you when they started making
World War II Army men. These are World War One.
Yeah. They started making them in the tan in the 80s, and you're like, what?
Oh yeah. He noticed the colors. He noticed the weapons.
He said they have different green now.
They do.
Okay, so we were at Mom's and she was cleaning out her garage. She found some of my old, just a few. It's like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you remember these? And I was like, I don't really remember them, my guy. And he's like, this is a different green than the green they make now. Look. And he's explaining to me when they started changing the green.
They do cast the green differently.
Yeah. When they changed from this dark green to the lighter green and the tan.
Yeah.
And he's explaining this fact to me. And I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy, whatever. Yeah, I can't care. Anyway, so no. To back up, Monday I came home one day and he had taken out all the garbage and cleaned up he had done his job to the T. Like one of his jobs is garbage. And so he takes all the garbage out from all around the house, takes out all the trash cans. Him and Daniel are supposed to do it together, but he's done all of it. And he's like, I want these toys off the internet. And I'm like, okay. I look at them. They're these little Army figures from World War One with horses and everything. And they're like $8 a box. And he's like, I want those. I want 3 boxes. He points to 3 boxes. I'm like, oh, okay. That comes about 16, 18 bucks. All right, fine, buddy.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah. $8 a box for 3 boxes. So it wasn't $20.
No, it was less than that. Yeah.
Or $23, $24. So I'm like, sure, I'll buy those for you, whatever. They take a couple days to get here. They get here, and then I go away. I don't know what happened to them. I remember seeing them on a couch. So I know he opened them, looked at them, and then left them sitting on the couch. Yeah. So I picked them all up one night and put them in a Ziploc bag because he had left them in the boxes on the couch.
Yeah,
and when Ra opens boxes, he doesn't just open boxes.
He
nothing Ra opens can ever be returned to the store because he literally like tears the box apart. He like ravenously tears into the box to get inside of it. So I see these torn open boxes and these pieces laying on the ground. And I'm like, oh, okay, he must want to keep these somewhere.
He doesn't look for the perforations at all. He just sort of rips into
the packaging. Like, this is never going back anywhere.
Right.
And I'm from the 80s, 90s, where, sometimes the box itself could be part of the collectible nature of it. Yeah. So it's like, no, you got to cut it open with a letter opener and, make sure you specifically take the tape off. This box might be useful one day.
There's a way to preserve it if you're going to.
Yeah. And he does not do that. And he does not respect that.
At all.
So he comes back to me Saturday morning and he's like, so Daddy, remember those toys I had to get? I had to throw them away. And in my head, what I hear him say is, that thing I begged you for and demanded that you buy that cost actual money that you worked for, I didn't like it, so I pitched it. I just decided to burn your hard-earned dollars.
So, in Richie's defense, in Ra's defense, he asked me first. These Army guys. Okay, so guys, these Army guys.
They were diorama figures. So they were not Army guys. They were not the typical Army guys.
So Army guys are already small. The ones you get from the 99-cent store. These were
diorama figures.
They're half the size of the typical Army guy.
Yeah.
No one's going to play with those or use them. They're the worst. The baby or the cat is going to choke on it. Not okay. When I say babies, not us. I'm talking about the twins. Or our kitten. He likes to eat stuff, and he's eating on the regular size Army guys.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm like, if you don't want them, you don't have to keep them.
Yeah.
You know.
Doesn't run it past me.
No.
So I learned the following
I
Saturday.
figured he was going to stack them up somewhere and just get rid of them. But I don't know that I thought trash, like garbage.
Yeah.
I guess I thought put them in a bag and put it in the basement where all toys go to die.
Right. No, he said I had to throw them away, and I just decided to piss away your money, and I was livid inside. I couldn't even speak. Like, what? And then Nicole happened to be walking by, and I was like, hey,
did you know?
Did you know that he's throwing away money? That was $8 a box. He asked for 3 boxes specifically. He didn't even have it for a day. He didn't even have it for a week.
That's what you said. You said it didn't even last a week. Y'all, listen, it's like Raw went out and took $18 and burned it on the lawn.
He might as well have.
That's okay.
He might as well. I mean, ultimately, we were out of $18.
I mean, we were out of $18 no matter what. He wasn't going to play with them.
But, I mean, I could have figured something out.
No, we wouldn't have figured something out. It's like those McDonald's toys. It's just...
A McDonald's toy costs $3. I don't feel... I mean, and I make enough money that $18 is only like, waste. A fraction of the time I'm at work. But still, it's money. And I would like for him to have an understanding of, 1, when he's asking for these things, and 2, that they cost money, which is time, which is effort, which is, disposable resource, right? It is not, it must be replenished. It does not just grow on trees. So I'd like him to have some appreciation of that.
I 100% agree with you. And I should not have green-lighted him just getting rid of those guys. He wasn't going to play with them. Right. So I should have given him... I would
much rather he spend some time trying to figure out what to do with them rather than just being like, well, no reason to keep these, because we're not like well off enough that he could just keep asking for random stuff and throwing it away.
Yeah, no. And I think it was just, if you're not going to play with them, it's okay that you're not obsessed with them. He's obsessed with these other Army guys. And honestly, we have gotten him...
He's got like 8 buckets. He's got like 4 buckets of them. He just keeps asking for random.
And there's hundreds in those buckets. And they're, they're everywhere.
Yeah. And occasionally online he'll find like different variations of them. So that's what I thought it was when he originally ordered them.
Well, and that's what I thought they were too.
When I saw the word diorama in the description, I should have recognized they're going to be smaller than is typical. And it even says like they're, it says what size they are, but I didn't think to check it.
I didn't think anything about the size either.
Because normally he vets it so well. But and there were pictures of them. It shows what they were, and you can't really tell.
You can't compare. It wasn't compared to like it didn't have like a ruler next to it or anything like it. Where
there was no size comparison of any kind. But these are barely larger than a quarter.
Right.
And
so and honestly, he's very particular about the things that he wants. And so, that was my bad. I'm going to take the hit on that because he was like, I'm not going to play with these, mommy. And I'm like, well, you can get rid of them. It's fine. But
when he said throw them away, like I wanted to burn.
I know.
Or not burn. I like internally exploded, like anger intensifies inside. Like, you did what with my money? You did what? Do you just not care that I go to work every day?
Yeah.
Like I could never have imagined going to my dad and being like, there was always, you got a toy that wasn't what you thought it was going to be. So you just kind of stopped playing with it, but never like, I just threw that toy away. Like I feel like Rich Hall Sr. would have thrown the biggest of fits and I'd still be hearing about it. Yeah. So I'm in my office. This was on Saturday. And then he comes back like an hour later and he's got tears in his eyes because this is how sensitive he is.
Yeah.
He knows I'm mad. And he comes back and he's like, Daddy, I'm sorry for wasting your money. And I don't think I ever actually said the words waste my money. I said that was money.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have, I don't know that I said he shouldn't have thrown them away, but I definitely said that was money that he threw away.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm so sorry for wasting your money, Daddy. Aww. And I know you're never going to want to buy me anything ever again. Aww. And as I've said, Richie's the one that gets me going the most as far as like feeling feelings. Just because he's such a sensitive kid. Yeah. The other two get me, but like with Richie, it feels like talking to myself. Like I remember as a kid, when I would get in trouble, I would feel more intensely the sense of shame and guilt than, so even though my parents were upset, I was already running myself through the ringer. Yeah. And so I realized that's what he's doing to himself and that's not what I want him to have in his head.
Yeah.
Cause he often he does have that internal monologue of, of you don't like me, you don't love me. And I'm like, no, I do love you. You're a good kid. Yeah. You made a mistake and I understand the mistake. You know, these things do cost money and we could have donated them. We could have come up with any number of things to do with them.
He could have thrown me under the bus on that one.
Yeah,
should have.
He didn't.
But he's not that kid.
No, he didn't see any way that he saw it as his mistake.
Yeah.
And so we had a conversation about, I do appreciate, one of the things I like about you is your integrity. When you do something wrong, you come and you apologize.
Yeah.
And I am glad that you did that, because that shows me that you're a guy who's going to grow up to be a really good person. You are a good person.
Good guy.
You just made a mistake. And I had to do that. Tell me what you heard.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm a good person and I didn't do anything really wrong. And I'm like, okay, and I just want you to understand that. And I do love you. I'm your dad. I will always love you. There's no mistake you could make that would make me stop loving you. And this is just a small mistake. And once we're done with this conversation, I'm not going to bring it up again. I'm not going to hold you to this. I forgive you for your mistake.
It is so dusty in here.
Yeah.
It is mad dusty in here. Yeah. And I have allergies. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is rude.
Yeah.
I don't.
Or you could just feel your feelings. I was tearful while I was talking about it with him, because once again I'm talking to my son who feels like me. I feel like I'm. Yeah. So a lot of times when you have kids and you've got anything in your past as far as parental stuff, kids will bring it out of you.
You're talking to kid you.
You're talking to kid you. I often say kids are like sand. If you've got any emotional anything in there, they're going to get into that and irritate it.
Yeah.
And if you don't work it out, then you're just going to have this thing that irritates you every time you deal with a kid, because kids they fill every space they can find. You
got to work it out. I think, the advantage of that is you notice that you're talking to kid you.
Yeah.
And you say the stuff to kid you that you wanted to hear.
Right. And so I often realize I'm trying to be restorative. Like I'm trying to solve hurts that I have from once again, dad wouldn't have been nearly as understanding to me back then. So I'm trying to say it to him in a way that I would have liked to have heard as a kid. Now, I don't know that he's hearing it in the same way I wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
But at least I know I'm saying it like, no, I still value you. I love you. I respect you.
You're making
and this is just a small break.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean the end of the world for you and I.
Yeah.
I will always love you. I will always care for you.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. And again, and we said this last episode, even with whatever we had with our parents, we knew that they always loved us, even when they made mistakes.
Yes.
Right. And so
whether they admitted them or not.
They were
hard pressed to admit a mistake. They were trying to parent, and there was no room for them to admit mistakes.
Listen, and honestly, when you're young and you're taking care of your kids and you're working and you're going to school and you're doing all the things at once, man, sometimes they're just spinning plates. You know?
Oh my God.
Spinning plates.
The part I forgot to tell you about was we were driving to my mom's on Saturday night, and he's like, "So Daddy, remember I threw out those toys? I thought about how I can make it up." And he's trying to explain to me some plan for making it up. Like, okay, so I can't get anything new for, X number of weeks. And I was like, I agree. I'm probably not going to get you anything new anyway, because you've already blown through 20 of my dollars.
Yeah.
But I also said I was done with it. Yeah. And so I want you to understand that when I say I forgive you, then I'm
We're
done.
Not bringing it up again.
You don't have to bring this up unless you have it on your mind and you need to talk it out. I'm not over here still mad. He's like, "You're not still mad?" And I'm like, "I'm genuinely not mad." I mean, I'm having a day, but you know what I mean? I think
but you were having a day anyway.
Yeah. Okay. What? I was having a day?
No, you weren't. But
I was curious.
But you were going to have a day anyway. I mean, this is.
Yeah,
we're
it's
in
quarantine. Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't mean you're having a moment, but
no, I was just in my head. Yesterday was definitely an in my head day, and I don't even know what was going on. I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
It was not a big.
You do get in your head.
I do get in my head.
I do notice that.
Yeah. But
I can tell you what your tells are.
What my tells are,
or just how you are.
What are my tells?
Besides the ADHD, you don't listen. You say this is you. You're looking down at your phone. Yeah.
That's me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But when you're not in your head and you're not plotting how to take over the world, you're engaged and you're having
I'm fully
oh yeah, you know what? So literally we're having, you're trying to set up for our recording
podcast
today. Yeah. And one of the things that we we were trying to figure out what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
And y'all, we do this kind of off the cuff, hey, we could talk about.
We come up with 3 different topics, and then we may talk about none of them.
Oh, yes. So
3 of the things we didn't talk about today, we have not gotten to.
We have not gotten to any of them, but one of them was Brianna has a clothing line, and there was a picture of a guy that was like built.
Oh, body positivity. Yeah, we were totally supposed to talk about body positivity.
We were. And I was trying to have that conversation with you beforehand to see how it would go. I just wanted to talk about it because I was really fascinated by male body positivity.
Yes.
And you are just like, I can tell you're like, you got the gears going. You're looking at all these 1,500 monitors you got in Slash and Trash Studios. I'm like, he is not listening to me at all.
Yeah. And I know, so today is kind of an in my head day. Like I said, the last couple of days have been in my head days.
Yes.
And that's where I'm full introvert and not the ambivert or anything.
Everything is like a,
so I knew that if I started talking about it, I might not have juice for the show. It was genuinely what I was thinking. So it was like, okay, that'll be a good topic.
You're like, sure.
And then also like, let me get the levels right. Let me make sure that all the things are turned up.
And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. I said, I think it's so surprising that, we don't really talk about male body positivity. And you're like, click, double click, click, double click.
Yeah.
Mouse over. My 5th monitor died. Like, you're not really talking to me, but you're talking to me.
Yeah.
But you know what? And you have those moments, and I get it because I get the same way.
Yeah.
Where you just so exhausted, and it's not even that you ran a marathon or anything.
Yeah.
It's just you're just mentally or physically exhausted. Where you're just like, I don't have any words.
Mine isn't necessarily exhaustion. It just I can't gin up the. I don't have, is it extra? I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like sometimes I'm just kind of in my head. And listen, I'm not upset. I'm not unhappy.
No, you're just
kinda,
in your, Listen, I was so in my head today. I took Mom over to
James and Vivian's
house and I got gas. I came back. I had so much stuff to do and I haven't been out driving and doing multiple stops. It's been a long time since I've done that.
Yeah.
I missed my exit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm listening to music and we're hanging out and we're having, me and Mama are having a good time.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of in my head and I'm not thinking of anything.
Yeah.
I'm just singing the songs. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm heading to Kentucky.
Nice.
What the? I'm like, Mama, you're not going to believe this. I missed my stop. She was like, what? I'm like, it's okay. I'm just going to turn around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. Barely an inconvenience, but no, I think that's interesting. Like you do. You'll get in your head.
Yeah.
And I, Rod's the same way where he kind of gets in his. I think he probably gets a double dose of that, right? Where he just is just in his head and he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
And but
he gets it from both sides.
He does,
which is why he can entertain himself for so long. He's just like he's fine entertaining himself for pretty much the day.
I would be interested. We know you have ADHD. I'd be interested to know if I'm also.
I mean, I don't think that's all ADHD.
No, just
for
distractible
you.
Or just.
Yeah, you could be mildly distractible, but you focus better than the two of us do.
Yeah.
Well, the three of us do.
I over focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I give most things in my life half focus until I absolutely have to.
Yeah. Well, if I set up in my head what I need to do beforehand and I've done it before, then I don't have to revisit it again. So again, if I'm driving somewhere, if I'm driving from point A to point B and I've done it a million times, I don't think about the stops. I don't think about the signs. I don't think about any of that. It's muscle memory for me now. Right.
Yeah.
And so any change to that will throw me off.
Yeah.
So if you give me a new address that I need to go to, I get a lot of anxiety because it's like, I don't know what roads to take. I mean, I kind of do.
I don't think about that at all.
I absolutely think about all of that.
I'm usually like tactically like, oh, what's on the way that I could maybe take a deviation and which route should I take? And what scenery do I want to see along the way?
So,
like I'm genuinely like...
Y'all, let me tell you, we were talking about going over to my aunt and uncle's house to get the rest of my mom's stuff. And Richie was like, oh, that's near downtown, which is close to Clifton where the record store is. And I'm like, what? So like you're taking me on this full on tangent. I'm like, listen, I really just wanted to go there and straight
I was like, oh wait, I could get donuts. I could get,
and then I go through Clifton, and then I can go to that Sam's, and I'm like,
yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, no. No.
It's I'm like, so I'll just go meet you there, and then
you were supposed to meet me there,
yeah.
but you know what? And then I said, well, let me go ahead and put this stuff in the van.
and head there by yourself.
Head there.
And I was like, I came downstairs because I took a shower as you were leaving, and then I came downstairs and you were gone and the desk was gone. So I was like, I guess she took it herself.
I did.
I don't need to go over there. I'm still gonna go to the record store though, because now it's on my head. Didn't make it to the donuts because I completely forgot.
Well, I figured that you needed your day to drive around.
Yeah. Last weekend was a really busy weekend. So it was
a really busy
weekend. This is a good to be off the grid weekend, kind of.
And when this was still a busy weekend, it still counts as a busy weekend to me.
Yeah.
So when we have busy weekends, I need to have a weekend where I don't do nothing, when I don't do anything. So we had movie night at our house Friday night.
Yeah.
Saturday, all the kids, well, not all the kids, but we were here hanging out. And then Sunday, I took my mom out. And
you went on an excursion.
We went on an excursion. We had a good time.
Yeah.
But, went to go get her prescription. Went to go.
No, so you did get her prescription.
I did. I get her. Well, they had issues transferring everything over. It's not going to be ready till tomorrow, but we did all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but we're like driving around the city. It probably doesn't. You should be clapping through all this.
Right. I do the claps to say when we started talking about something. I do the claps to sync up because I have a backup recording device.
He edits all the extra stuff out. But I think...
and I use the claps to tell me when I should start editing things out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So...
What?
I was looking at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're over. We are
over. I mean, I think, Roz definitely, again, once you put something in his repertoire, it's there, right? Yeah. And so one of the things that I remember he learned was that we don't call people fat. We don't call names, right? And so for as long as I can remember, he says huggable. And I don't know where he gets that word from, but I love everything
that he says
about it. I love that he says that. But yeah, he once you teach him something, he gets it, and it's in his soul, it's in his belly. And I think the biggest thing with him is he's very black and white. And we're teaching them that sometimes it's okay to be gray.
Yes,
sometimes you need to be gray.
Some things you need to be gray.
Some things you need to be gray. But we were those kids. I was that kid.
Yeah, I was more that kid than I want to admit.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, oh, no, everything's got to be the way I think it is.
That's how you understand things, though, right?
Yeah, when you're young, developmentally, that's appropriate for that age, too.
Right,
that you have this sort of much more rigid.
Right.
And then as you age, learn, oh, no, things are different than my perception. And there's more to life than what I understand.
Right.
So he's got time to grow into the other perspectives.
He does. And,
as a parent, you always just worry anyway that like, oh, what trait do you have now that's going to persist to the point of causing you problems? Like for me, his impulse control will always be an issue. Like he needs to get that under control.
He does
in a variety of ways. There are some times where he's really great at it, but there are other times where it's like, oh man, like if you
really got to
you could really turn this into a drug habit really fast, my guy. And then all the work we've done is going to go
when you
out
say
the window.
Impulse control, that didn't even occur to me. I was just thinking he's going to be in a situation and someone's going to take it the wrong way and he's going to die. It never even occurred to me that the
oh no, I was thinking in terms of like, hey, he can't control his sugar intake. Like that turns into, he finds cocaine and now he can't put it down.
Oh my God.
So, keep him off the drugs.
Drug czar of Miami is always thinking about the cocaine.
You got to look through the lens of cocaine and alcohol and marijuana.
That didn't even come to my mind.
Well, I've also read studies of like kids with poor impulse control have the biggest problems with drugs and alcohol. Now also you have to add to that like issues like poverty and education and a variety of other things.
Exposure. There's a ton of things. Yeah. Now, I don't see him through that lens, or I don't
in part because he has integrity. I think that's the one thing we had a conversation about drugs. He was asking about something and I was like, that's why you should never do drugs, because this is how you kind of end up in this situation. Cycle of this type of behavior. And he was like, I would never do drugs. Drugs are stupid. And I'm like, okay, keep that idea.
Yeah.
Even when you're a teenager and people are telling you some drugs are great.
Yeah. Or when you go to college and they want you to lick the stamp.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do that, but
it's not really a stamp, but yes, there are. You do take hits of acid off of paper. Yes.
Do people still do that?
Yes, they totally do that. There's a religion around it. That's a whole other conversation. We've come around on time. It's late. I got to go pick up my kids from my mom's house, and we got to get into our lives again. But we once again thank you for another episode of the Hallspace Podcast.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Shout out to our longtime listeners.
We love you guys.
Yes.
Thanks
Natalie
for always listening.
And Angela and Chris, Speak Kaya and Chris. Yeah, glad to have
Mom,
you with us.
if she's listening.
Yeah. We're not sure if she's up to this many episodes, but I guess this one was just a conversation about, raising kids in a quarantine and how do you parent in 2020 and having, some thoughts and ideas about how you maintain a stable, I guess, attitude in life.
Yeah. Well, especially when everything in the world is unstable.
Right. I think no matter what the world is like some of these things about parenting are kind of universal.
No, it's definitely universal, but I think for a lot of people, it may be harder because everything, we don't know when this is going to end.
Oh, gosh, we have no idea. There's no end in sight, unfortunately.
No, and so you still have to maintain what you believe as a family is true. And right. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Despite all of that.
So thank you for rocking with us for another week.
Appreciate it.
We
Thanks
definitely
for
appreciate it. And we hope everybody's doing well and keeping safe. Wash your hands, wear your mask. Go vote.
Please go vote.
Please go vote. Please exercise your civic duty.
Please.
And vote for whomever you choose.
We fought very, very hard to be able to vote. Yeah.
And you might not like all the choices that we have, but
please make a choice.
I'm a big fan of voting. And also after you vote, there's activism. Politicians are different than businesses. Politicians have to do what you want if you bother them enough.
Yeah.
So
it's
vote.
their job. It's what they get paid to do.
Vote and then bother the heck out of them to get them to do the things you believe that they should do.
Absolutely.
And if you need any pointers on how to bother them, come ask my daughter Victoria. She's very good at bothering us until she gets her way. So just be like her, and then you'll get, your way.
Be like Victoria. That should also go on a shirt.
That should be a shirt. If you want to change the world, be like Victoria. I did have that meme that I really liked this week that was, my daughter's going to change the world. I just have to survive raising her first.
Yes.
Because that is so valid. It's what I feel.
Incredibly valid.
Because Victoria is going to change the world.
She is.
We just got to get past the whole getting her to adulthood thing.
She's going to have to survive. We're going to have to survive her.
We're going to have to survive her. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us. You know what the music means.
You know what the music means. Our time is up.
I say good day, sir.
I say good day. The Hallspace Podcast is brought to you by Hall Productions, LLC. Show notes and credits can be found at our webpage, thehallspacepodcast.wordpress.com. Any questions, comments, or concerns can be sent to us at thehallspacepodcast@gmail.com. The show is written by Daggerpin Davis. Music is curated by DJ Cabal. The show is produced by Chuck Jones and recorded at Slash and Trash Studios. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a good week.
Alright, we're back. And we're going to have one last rapper before we start talking to him and see what Excuse me. We're supposed to be switching to Chuck Jones. Who's that? I'm Chuck Jones. From Team 100. I hope you've heard of me. From Team 100. WIZ 30. Team 100. The only radio show for you. You ought to listen to it. It's for all team. Great song. Let's talk. All the songs you want. We even have a couple contests thrown in there. So, this is the Team 100. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. This isn't my show. What did you want, Joe? What did you want? One last rap before.
House Hall. We rise brilliantly.